Yeah, ले जाओ. Huh? Next time.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So we'll do Jai Radha Madhav first, and then we'll start with the Bhagavad Gita class. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Everyone, please. Jaya Gopi Jan Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandan Braj Janaranjana Yashodanandan Braj Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jan Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulanand, Radha Gokulanand, Radha Gokulanand, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, everyone. My name is Aman, and we are going to read from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse 11 today. So, this chapter is based on Karma Yoga. So, there are two chapters in Bhagavad Gita based on Karma Yoga, where Krishna is basically describing what Karma Yoga is. And this chapter is basically superior Karma Yoga, supreme Karma Yoga. And the name of this chapter is Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. So, this is gonna be interesting because all of us have heard this word karma, but we don't, we have some idea about it, but we'll actually go through it, that what is the difference between karma and karma yoga. And sometimes people say that work is worship, do your work and don't worry about the reactions or the results of the work. So if you do your work properly, then that's it, and you don't have to do anything. If you do your work properly, then that's it. That's what the goal of life is, and so many misconceptions like that. So it's going to be really interesting because it will help you practically understanding what you are doing in your life and what you have to add in your life to actually make it karma yoga from just karma. So we will recite the verse together. I will recite the verse, and then if possible you can also recite after me. कायेन मनसा बुद्धया केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा शुद्धये कायेन मनसा बुद्धया केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा शुद्धये. So we'll do word to word. So please repeat after me. Kayena, with the body. Manasa, with the mind. Buddhaya, with the intelligence. Kevalaya, purified, Indraya, with the senses, Api, even, Yoginaha, Krishna conscious persons, Karma, actions, Kurvanti, they perform, Sangam, attachment, Tyaktva, giving up, Atma, of the self, Shuddhaye, for the purpose of purification. Pur- Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: the yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, and intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. Purport: when one acts in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the senses of Krishna, any action, whether of the body, mind, intelligence, or even the senses, is purified of material contamination. There are no material reactions resulting from the activities of a Krishna conscious person. Therefore, purified activities, which are generally called sadachar, can be easily performed by acting in Krishna consciousness. Sri Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu describes this as follows: Iha yasya hare dasya karmana manasagira nikhilasu api avasthasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so called material activities. He has no false ego, for he does not believe that he is this material body or that he possesses the body. He knows that he is not this body and that his body does not belong to him. He himself belongs to Krishna and the body too belongs to Krishna. When he applies everything produced of the body, mind, intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have within his possession, to Krishna's service, he is at once dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with Krishna and is devoid of the false ego that leads one to believe that he is the body, etc. This is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So I was just thinking that Krishna is talking about the yogis here and them abandoning attachment but still acting with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses. So how is that possible that someone has abandoned everything but they are still working with they are still using their mind, intelligence, words, body, etc.? So let's understand what senses, mind, intelligence are, first of all, to actually kind of know this verse properly. So I have done psychology. My background is from mental health, so I am an emotional well-being practitioner, kind of a psychologist, and I have read so many theories from the beginning of my undergrad: structuralism, behavioralism, so many, humanistic psychologies, so many theories given by different researchers, psychologists who have tried to kind of explain the nature of mind and intelligence and why people behave the way they behave and what is the cause of it, so many things. But I have never come across something as perfect as Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna is speaking, which would explain everything: the nature of mind, why do we behave the way we behave, in such a perfect manner. And it's so easy to understand and it's so easy to apply in the lives as well. So I will start from that point and then we'll slowly go towards the devotional part of what Krishna is trying to say. So let's talk about the sense objects first. So sense objects are basically the objects that attract us. For example, food, um, opposite gender or same gender, um, or anything which we want to enjoy basically is sense object. Now the senses are, after sense objects come the senses which wants to enjoy the sense object. For example, our eyes, nose, tongue, genitals, etc. And after the senses comes the mind. So mind is actually, it's also called man in Sanskrit. Mind is actually something which is very unstable. Because even if you are on a diet and you don't want to have gulab jamuns or a cake, but still your mind would force you to eat it, and then you'll have it first, and then you will think about, oh my god, I have so many calories today, and I have to work again from tomorrow. So mind is very unstable like that. It's very difficult to control mind. Even if we know that this is not right for us, we still end up doing this, and that's basically the fluctuation of mind is. Actually, Yudhishthir Maharaj in Mahabharata was asked from a yaksha this question, that what is it who travels faster even than the speed of wind? And Yudhishthir Maharaj said that it's mind. Why? Because you are here right now, and within a nanosecond you would be in space, you would be in sun, in your mind. So that's how the mind works. So that's how it fluctuates. So it's very hard to control mind. But mind can be controlled by intelligence. So there are sense objects. In the hierarchy we go sense objects, which are the objects which to be enjoyed. Then senses, who enjoy the sense objects. After the senses are supposed to be controlled by mind, but mind is not in our control. And above that comes the intelligence. So if an intelligence is supposed to control the mind, for example, in therapy sometimes they give the example that if you are having, for example, anxiety or a panic attack, let it reach to its peak and see what would happen, and nothing would happen, and it will come down again. So try to see your anxiety as a third person. So what is that third person? That third person is intelligence. We know, I don't know how many of you had anxiety in the past, but anxiety means that there's something going on, the hormones are not in balance, people struggle with sleep and etc. And they know that they are not in danger, but they feel that they are in danger. Now the part which knows that they are not in danger is intelligence. But because mind is not in control, we feel anxiety, right? But we can control our mind if we strengthen our intelligence. So do you understand that? Sense object, senses, mind, and intelligence. Now what happens, that mind is supposed to be controlled by intelligence, but in today's day and age, our mind drags the intelligence, and then everything goes haywire, and people struggle with their mental health, with different things. And when it goes to the extreme level, then psychosis and so many things happen, which could have biological reasons as well. But talking about just the neurotic conditions, which are low-level mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, panic attacks, phobias, etc., these happens because our mind is not in control. We have these irrational thoughts which come in our mind. We think that it's gonna be true, and we believe in them, although we know that it's not true, it's not factual, but still, because the intelligence is not strong enough, our mind is not in control. But our scriptures give us a very easy way, if we apply in our life, to strengthen this intelligence. And if we strengthen our intelligence, then we will have the remote control of our mind. And what is that? It takes three things actually, and we'll talk about it. The first thing is scriptural knowledge. Intelligence gets strengthened when we have the knowledge of the scriptures. Why do we read scriptures? Why it is important to read the scriptures? Because it's important to know who we are. There is a story of Srila Prabhupada actually. I'm going to go through many stories today, so you would have a good time listening to the stories. So, one Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan, he was in Vrindavan, and there was a monkey who stole Srila Prabhupada's shoes. And those shoes were actually very dear to Srila Prabhupada. And his disciples tried their very best to get the shoes from the monkey's hand, but the monkey was very clever and he wouldn't give his shoes to Srila Prabhupada or to the disciples. And then Srila Prabhupada said, there is a way to negotiate with the monkey. And then he took a banana and then he showed to the monkey. And then monkey showed the shoe to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada was, taking the shoe further up. As he was taking the shoe further up, the shoe was coming down, with the same velocity. And finally, Srila Prabhupada gave the banana to the monkey, but monkey did not give the shoe to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said, see, Srila Prabhupada tried make a point out of it, that see, even animals know how to survive. And this is actually beyond survival skill. This needs intelligence. But we, as human beings, we need to know that we know that, but we don't consider, we don't really know why we are superior to animals. We know that we are superior to animals, but we don't know why. Because eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, these 4 things even animals are doing, and they are doing better than us, right? They can eat more than us. If there's a particular span of the year where they're supposed to be in heat, they can actually do much more reproduction than us. They can sleep more than us. So definitely, all these activities which we are trying to do, animals can do much more better than us. So we have to actually ask ourselves this question, that who am I and what is the purpose of my life? And to know that, we need to read the scriptures, because the scriptures would answer us that what is our constitutional position. Why have we come here in this world? If we haven't asked this question to ourselves till now, then we need to ask this question. Because you are struggling so much in your lives, 9-to-5 job, so much of stress, anxiety, taking, so many things. But if you haven't asked this question to yourself, that why I'm doing all of this, everything is gonna go one day, even this body is not gonna go with me when I'm gonna die. We all know that. So we haven't asked this question to ourselves. We need to ask this question, where am I going after this? Why I'm doing all of this? The so-called karma, which they say that if you do your karma perfectly, then everything is fine. What is fine? What is the final destination? So to know all that, we need to read the scriptures. So when we will read the scriptures, then it's one part that we will get the knowledge and our intelligence will be strengthened. Now the second part of strengthening the intelligence is, of course, training. So as you all know, we read scriptures in ISKCON, in Krishna consciousness, or in any spiritual path you will go. I followed Buddhism for 3 years, and there was a process. In any spiritual path you would go, there is a process. Sometimes people say that, they try to concoct their own religion. I'm going to take this part from here, I'm going to take this part from here, and I'm going to make my own religion. But that's not how it works. It has to be bona fide. So when that happens, when we follow any spiritual path, there is a process for it. And that's why we have this process in Krishna consciousness of chanting particular number of rounds, waking up early, being in discipline. Why are we doing all of this? To train our intelligence. Someone asked Gauranga Prabhu, I heard this from his class, that once he was in Chapati temple and a student came and he asked him, very frustrated he was, and he asked, Why you guys are, we come to the temple for peace. We come to the temple for, to get rid of the goals and targets and deadlines of the material world. And then you come in a temple and then you guys start with 16 rounds a day, this much knowledge, and you have to read 2 pages every day and 16 rounds, and it was like deadlines everywhere, and the targets everywhere. So what's the purpose of me coming to I come to the temple to get rid of these targets. But these targets are important in the initial stages of bhakti, of any spiritual path, because these targets put us into the practice of doing it. If we wouldn't have a target, being conditioned as we are, we wouldn't do it. Right? We wouldn't do it. Srila Prabhupada's standard was 64 rounds, but then he saw the condition of Kali Yuga, and then he reduced it to 35, 25, and 16, and then he said, okay, now final. So that's why we have these targets. This is not a target, this is the minimum, bare minimum, Srila Prabhupada said. Bare minimum. Why are we doing this? To put us in the training. Only when we train ourselves somehow by hook or by crook to chant Krishna's name, then at the end of our life, we'll be able to take his name. Sometimes people say, oh, it's so easy. At the end of your life, you have to take Krishna's name. When I'm gonna die, I'm gonna take Krishna's name, and that's it. I'm gonna go back to Godhead. But it's not that easy. Trust me. The pain is around, I think, 80,000 Scorpios biting you when someone dies. Do you think that you're gonna think when even a single scratch comes in our body or in our skin, there's a lot of pain. You can't think about anything apart from that. About that scratch. And do you think that when you're gonna die, you will think about Krishna? That's not gonna happen. Unless we are trained. And that training happens with these small targets which Srila Prabhupada has given us. So that's why every spiritual path requires a discipline. And by this training, we strengthen the intelligence so that intelligence can control the mind. Now the third and the most important part is faith. We can read as many scriptures as we want. There are pundits and scholars and biographers and researchers who know everything and every verse and Bhagavad Gita cover by cover, page by page, words by word, but they don't have faith. They don't have faith even from something like Bhagavad Gita. They don't have faith in Krishna, even in a place where they're supposed to come and get faith. Forget about when they go out. So this faith is very important. It says that two things are very important to strengthen intelligence or to see Krishna everywhere. One is knowledge and other is faith. Only knowledge cannot give you the vision of seeing Krishna everywhere. Why? Because people know, as I mentioned before, people know Bhagavad Gita by heart. They have done the translation, done their commentaries, but they have no faith in Krishna. What they end up saying, that Krishna was some metaphor, he was some mythological character, and they give the analogy of a chariot and senses and whatnot, so many things. But they don't say that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They will tell you everything about Bhagavad Gita apart from the main thing. So they don't have the faith. So that knowledge is of no use. So only knowledge would not do the work. But if only faith, out of knowledge and faith, if you have both of them, that's amazing. But if you have only faith, that will also do the work. How? If you know, this is from Ramayana. There was an old lady who waited for Ram and Lakshman for years. Someone knows their name? Shabri. So Shabri was actually from a very low caste. She was an old lady. She used to live in the forests, and she used to wear the barks of the trees. Her hair was matted. She had nothing to wear. She used to live in this thatched hut for years and years. And she had a guru. His guru's name was Matanga Rishi. So Matanga Rishi, with all his disciples, went back to Godhead, but Shabri was left. No, none of them had the darshan, had the darshan of Ram and Lakshman, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when Matang Rishi left to the spiritual abode, he asked Shabri that you have to stay here more, and one day Ram and Lakshman will come and he will give you the darshan, and then they will give you the darshan, then you will come, then you can come to us. Now Shabri did not have much knowledge because she used to live in a forest and in this hut. She didn't have anything to even wear, forget about books. But she had one thing. Every day she would actually collect the berries. She would decorate her whole veranda with the flowers every day without fail for Ram and Lakshman. Why? Because she had the faith in her guru's words. And imagine, you can do it, you will do it 3 days, you will do it 5 days, you will do it 10 days, you will do it 1 year. But she was doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years. Can you imagine that? How much faith you would require for that? And one day Ram and Lakshman came, as we all know, and then Shabri took, fed them, and then she got liberated. She herself put a pyre of fire, and then she entered in it, and then she entered Lord Ram. She went back to Godhead. Why? Because she had faith in her guru's words. So faith is very important, and it doesn't come like that. Faith would not come by just visiting temple once in a while, and just casual way. That would not gonna work. Something very interesting which I actually read last night was Srila Prabhupada once was here, 1973, Bhaktivedanta Manor, and Srila Prabhupada, there were some English ladies who would come to him and they would ask Srila Prabhupada that there are some ghosts in their house and they're troubling. So they would come because he's a saintly person, and they will tell Srila Prabhupada that things are just being removed like this, and we are putting things here, next day we are finding it somewhere else. So there's something wrong, there's something supernatural happening. And they asked for a mantra to Srila Prabhupada, and of course Srila Prabhupada gave them the Maha Mantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Srila Prabhupada gave them the mantra, and they get rid of the ghost as well. And Srila Prabhupada mentioned that once in Kolkata, there was a very big house which no one was taking, and he got it in a very good price because the house was haunted with a ghost. But Srila Prabhupada bought the house, and he used to do his translations in the house, and ghost used to trouble him as well. But nothing happened, and Srila Prabhupada said nothing happened, and I was fine, and I took it because I was chanting the Maha Mantra. So he had the faith. So that's very important, to develop the faith. Now, how would you develop faith? Faith doesn't come. You would never be able to develop faith by yourself. If you think that I'm gonna go secluded, I'm gonna go in a secluded place, and by myself I'm gonna chant the Maha Mantra, gain some scriptural knowledge, and I'm gonna have faith, that's never gonna happen. That's not the process. Faith will only come from the people who have faith. So only when we come in the association of devotees, one molecule of their faith they can transfer from their heart to our hearts. And by observing the devotees, by observing the exalted Vaishnavas around us, we can have faith. Srila Prabhupada, after this incident which I just mentioned, same, he was in New Dwarka in US, and Srila Prabhupada was chanting very seriously, and he was chanting, and then he stopped all of a sudden, and he looked at his personal servant and he said something very astonishing. And then he said, none of my disciples has faith in Krishna. Now, this is very big because his disciples, his Western disciples, practically left everything for him. But Srila Prabhupada said, none of my disciples had faith for Krishna. Even Prabhupada goes on to say that no one in the world believes that Krishna exists. Now, this is a very big statement. How many of us believe that Krishna exists? Actually, really believe that Krishna exists? If we would have believed, then we would never get anxiety. We would never get disturbed in our life. So real faith, little bit everyone can have. But real faith, we need to ask ourselves if we have that or not. Another story. Not story, this is just a question. Someone asked Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, and they asked that how to detach ourselves. How to detach? We are entangled in the material world, household life, children, job, this and that, responsibilities, duties, and so many things. And Srila Prabhupada used to also say that, and he said that you cannot. How would you detach yourself from anything? You get a pet dog and you get attached to it so much. Forget about the pet dog. You get like a small, your favorite pillow, let's say, or a toy, or clothes, which your mom has given you maybe when you were small, or a piece of jewelry, and you get so attached to it. How are you going to detach yourself from your kids and your wives and your parents? That's not going to happen. But one thing can happen, which is attachment to Krishna. So the more you attach yourself to Krishna, the more you detach yourself from the temporary beings which are just around you for this life, and you have been given their responsibility as your service. But we need to attach ourselves to Krishna. The more we attach because this mind is not like, people say that you meditate on a white light and meditation means that think about nothing. Now that can never happen. That you think about nothing and your brain is blank. That can never happen. What can happen is that you think about Krishna. So when you think about Krishna, that is the real meditation. And that's how you don't think about anything nonsense. In the same way, if you want to detach yourself, then it's not going to happen in some superficial way. The more you attach yourself to Krishna, that would be your detachment from the material world. So that is the way, that is the process of developing faith. Faith only comes from people who have faith. There is a story of Srila Prabhupada. Before that, I would say something else, and then I'll come to that story. I actually used to think that this is the spiritual world, Bhaktivedanta Manor, and as soon as I step out from this place for doing my job, that's the material world. And I used to feel very like, I would be like, that, okay, now I'm stepping out in the material world. This is the spiritual world. And I have these distinctions, these boundaries. And then I realized that if I'm really practicing Krishna consciousness, then I should be able to see Krishna everywhere. So Krishna is not like, it's not like when you are in temple, Krishna is here and you can see Krishna, but when you go to your work and when you go to your regular duties, Krishna is not there. Actually, Krishna is telling us that a devotee or a yogi you can become a yogi. You do your duties in a way that Krishna is the center. You do your jobs, you take care of your families in a way that Krishna is the center. And then you will become a yogi. So next time from now I'm trying that when I go out, I think that Krishna is, I actually try to tell myself that Krishna is actually everywhere. This material world or spiritual world, everything comes from Krishna. So Krishna is in every atom. There would be people who would be doing things which does not align with our philosophy, but even in them, Krishna is there. Krishna loves them. Everyone is Krishna's child. So there is a very beautiful line, which is Vrindavan is not just a place. Vrindavan is a consciousness. So you can be in a pub or a club around your friends, but you can be absorbed in Krishna, and that is Vrindavan for you. And you can be in front of Radha Gokulananda thinking completely something else about your work, and that's material world for you. So spiritual world is not something some stars and some some I don't know, some magical lights and some magic happening. That's not spiritual world is remembering Krishna. It's all about the consciousness. That's why we are called International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So it's all about the consciousness. Actually, you can be doing your work, you can take care of your family as you are doing, but do it in a way that I am serving Krishna. It comes from Krishna, it goes to Krishna, and I'm just here as a temporary person trying to do my things the best. So when we think like, for example, in this paragraph also, Srila Prabhupada says that a yogi doesn't think that he's the body, his body belongs to him. He thinks that it belongs to Krishna. So you take care of yourself because this body belongs to Krishna, not because I am this body and I want to look beautiful. You take care of your children because it comes from Krishna. And I have been given this temporary responsibility, important temporary responsibility to take care of them. And it is my service at the moment. So I'm going to do my service. I'm going to serve them the best, but it is temporary. In this way, you will do your service the best because it comes from Krishna, but you will be detached as well at the same time. Right? So when we do our work with Krishna in our consciousness, that is Krishna consciousness, and that is being a yogi. And that's what distinguishes you from doing just karma to karma yoga. And this chapter is about karma yoga. But there is a process, as I mentioned before. And the process is that when you come to the temple, you hear, you listen. Coming in front of Radha Gokulananda and Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman and thinking that I have taken the darshan and now I can go back to my home and do whatever I want to do is not the way, is not actually the etiquette of visiting a spiritual place, of visiting a dham. The etiquette that is you sit here, you listen from devotees, which you all are doing fortunately. You all are very few rare, souls who have chosen to stay here and listen. But this is the etiquette of coming to a dham. A dham is the place where devotees are, and we go to a dham to see a devotee, not Krishna, because we can't see Krishna. Come on, I mean, can you see him playing and Radharani going around him and dancing around him? No. Only a pure devotee can see that. Even Arjuna could not see Krishna's universal form. Krishna had to give him the vision. Right? So, we can see Krishna through ears in the present stage. And that happens by hearing. So, when you come here, you hear, the words goes to your heart, then the faith develops, and then some appreciation for Radha Gokulananda may come, that who they are. They are there doing their leelas, their pastimes right now, but when a pure devotee will come, they could see that. We can't see that. Person would come and they will be like, okay, this is marble, decorated, wow, nice, looks very pretty, but don't know about their God or not. So the faith that they are God, this is God, would come only by hearing and the association with the devotees. There was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada early in the days, and he went to Mayapur and he became like a Babaji. He was chanting multiple rounds, went to a secluded place, gave up everything and matted hair, and he would just chant all day. And when Srila Prabhupada visited Mayapur, his disciples told him that Prabhupada, your disciple, such and such disciple, all day he just chant and he just sitting there and he has given up everything. He doesn't wear clothes and this and that. And Prabhupada said, all right. Prabhupada was not impressed. And Prabhupada did not say anything. And at last that devotee actually fell down and he actually gave up Krishna consciousness. Why? Because association of devotees is important. We can't do it by ourselves. We have to accept. Only when we observe exalted senior Vaishnavas who are actually senior, not just in age or in their number of years in Krishna consciousness, but by their behavior, etiquette, and their devotion. By observing them, we can follow, we can have faith. That's why Srila Prabhupada's movement could go on, even though Srila Prabhupada said, and I was contemplating on this, that Srila Prabhupada said that none of my disciples had faith in Krishna, but they could still survive in the path of bhakti, and they did amazing work. Why? First of all, they came from Western. Most of them were Western, so of course they did not know anything about Krishna. It was very new for them. So how would they develop the faith? Second, they had faith in Srila Prabhupada, so that is important. When you have faith, you can or you cannot have faith in Krishna. But when you have faith in Krishna's devotee, that is enough for you to take you back to Godhead. And because they had firm faith in Srila Prabhupada, they could go back. And they have done amazing jobs. And that's why in Srimad Bhagavatam, more than Krishna, you would hear about Krishna's devotees. In the scriptures, more than Krishna, you would hear about Krishna's devotees. Why? Because hearing about devotees would give you more faith in the actions of the devotee and in Krishna as well. That's why it's important to be in the association of devotees and to have, in whatever spiritual path you are, have a spiritual master and develop faith in them. So we talked about Shabri, who had faith in her guru. There's another instance of Srila Prabhupada actually. Srila Prabhupada was a householder at that time. This is back in I don't know the year. But Srila Prabhupada was a householder. And 500 years ago when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the combined incarnation of Radha and Krishna. And when he came, he inaugurated the Sankirtan movement, which is the congregational chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Nityananda Prabhu, at that time, 500 years ago, predicted that holy name will spread all over the world in every town and village. He predicted this more than 500 years ago. Now, cut to 19 something, 30s or 40s. Srila Prabhupada is a householder, and he had given the first floor of his house to some monks who were learning some scripture at that time. And there was a god brother of Srila Prabhupada, I would not take their name, and they were teaching this scripture to the monks. And Srila Prabhupada at that time was sitting on the stairs, and his god brother came, who was teaching something, and he came down after his lesson. He sat with Srila Prabhupada, who was Abhaycharan at the time, and he said that Prabhupada's name was Abhaycharan, Abhay Babu. In Bengali they say Babu. So, and he said that I have just told them about Nityananda Prabhu's prediction that holy name will spread across the world in every town and village. But I don't believe that it's gonna happen. This is whom saying this to? So Srila Prabhupada's god brother is telling this to him, that I don't believe that this is gonna happen. And Srila Prabhupada became serious. He stood up. He came down 2 stairs, he turned and he pointed at his god brother and he said, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said it, it must happen. It will happen. But if you have to do it, you gotta have faith in doing it. If you don't believe in it, you can't do it. And then when Srila Prabhupada said that it must happen, and then Srila Prabhupada said, someone who has surrendered to the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, who is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, second in the queue, one who has surrendered to the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, such a fool would be able to spread the holy name in the whole world. And then his god brother, who was a brahmachari, who was a monk at the time, he thought, okay, will I be able to do it? Am I gonna do this? And he thought about it in his mind. And Srila Prabhupada said, pointing at him, no, you are not gonna do this. And then his god brother told him, so are you going to do this? You are a grahastha, you are a householder. You think about money all the time. And Srila Prabhupada ignored it at the time and he just went on. But because Srila Prabhupada had faith in his spiritual master and in the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at the age of 70, Srila Prabhupada went into this voyage to America with just 40 rupees in his pocket. 70 years aged old man, 40 rupees in his pocket, went to America, and within 11 years he opened 108 temples across the world. Why? Because he had faith. So only one person who had real faith in Krishna can do such wonder, but it only requires just one person. Just one person who has real faith in Krishna can do such wonderful things. And this was predicted by Nityananda Prabhu, who is none other than Lord Balram, 500 years ago. And he predicted about Srila Prabhupada, and this happened. Why? Because he had faith. So having faith is not it's not a joke, basically what I'm trying to say. Having faith is a real task. Shraddha, there are 8 steps to reach to the target or to the goal of love. Shraddha is the first stage. Many people think that they are on the level of Shraddha, but it takes time. And it comes only by the association of devotees. So, if you want, so Srila Prabhupada actually spread holy name across the world. He gave us temples. Now we have more than 1100 temples across the world. Yesterday I have a Sangha, which is basically like a group. And yesterday one of the Matajis, which in our Sangha, she is in Auckland, New Zealand, and she was actually going there for 2 months with her husband, and she thought that she is not, she was in the Sangha coming every week thinking, doing something about Krishna. She thought that she will go there and nothing would be there. But yesterday only she sent us videos and images of this beautiful temple, ISKCON temple in New Zealand, Auckland. And she was so touched. And she was like, because of Srila Prabhupada's mercy, wherever we go, we have Krishna. Wherever we go, we have holy name. Wherever we go, we have devotees. Can't even understand what Srila Prabhupada has given. So, even if you don't have faith in Krishna, if you develop your faith in Srila Prabhupada, and that would come by reading his books. If you develop your faith in Srila Prabhupada, that would be suffice for you to go back, to get rid of the clutches of the material world, to get rid of this suffering which we have been going through life after life from billions, millions, billions of years, and go back and liberate yourself. Why Srila Prabhupada gave us? Srila Prabhupada said that the whole system, the whole process of having a temple and this satsang and devotees is that you can go back and make your home a temple. So you come to the temple, you take the association, you listen about Krishna Katha, but then you can go back and you can make your home a temple. And that's what Krishna is teaching us in this chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that Karma Yoga is something that whatever you are doing, if you have Krishna in your consciousness, if your intentions are pure and they are inclined and they are directed towards Krishna, then that is Karma Yoga. You can be in whatever position you are, but if you think about Krishna and your actions aligned with the Shastras, then you can become Krishna conscious. And it's that simple. But it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. So continuous efforts needs to be there. And when you go back, you make your home a temple. You teach your children, your family members about Krishna. You hear something from here, you go back and teach them. You eat food, but before eating your food, you offer it to Krishna so that it becomes prasadam. And you do some chanting. Start from something, just 1 round or 2 rounds. get a beat from here, go back and start chanting. So to make your home a temple, three things are required. Add Krishna's name in your life, add Krishna's prasadam in your diet, and add Krishna's katha in your playlist. And if you do these three things, you would be Krishna conscious. But it has to be continuous. The effort needs to be there. So that was about it for today's class. Anyone has any questions? Any comments? Please feel free, or any corrections. Anyone has any questions? No? Okay, so we'll have Aarti now. I'll request everyone to please keep your cushions at the back so that no one would trip, and then we'll have Aarti just now. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. One minute. Hare Krishna. Anyone with that? What's it? This car? Oh, anyone with the white Tesla registration number L for London, D for Donald, 74 KFP? Can you go and park your car properly, please? It's taking up 2 spaces. Come on.
Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Sita Ram Jaya Lakshman Hanuman Hanuman Sita Ram Lakshman